The NFL is back, man, and I know I'm excited. I'm excited because I have no more fantasy drafts, yet I have a lot of investments and stocks into a couple of guys that we've gotten some fantasy news about before week one. We're going to dive all into that. We're going to look into a couple of games here. We're going to also pick our week one winners. I'm going to try to beat my one of my best friends here who we've done podcasts for a long time here. I'm going to try to beat Coach Gio on the pick'ems this week. I think we're pretty even from past years, but we'll take a look at the picks for this week. This is Sweep the League Spotlight NFL edition. It's going to be myself. It's going to be the spotlight on our special guest, Coach Gio, as Stats, Rock, and Candice all have the night off as they're getting ready for NFL Week 1. But nonetheless, let's dive right into it, man. Coach Gio. Gio, man, you're back on Sweep the League. I know you actually got some stuff going on, man. I saw you're picked up by a network here, and you're going to be talking about I would say what, college ball, the Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, I guess they're okay. I mean, I don't have them winning the national title this year, but what do you got going on, bro?
Well, have you really had them winning the last 2 years, Rudy? I mean,
last year, yeah, I did. I would have taken them last year. The year before, no.
Look, if Georgia, if they can somehow win 3 in a row, Rudy, I mean, it's a legit dynasty. It's just to win 3 in a row in this day and age. I think they'll probably fall short trying to be open, but man, when you win back-to-back championships, Rudy, it's like what more can the Bulldogs do, right? It's like 2 championships is tough to get back-to-back. But
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on, Rudy. Yes, I'm going to be joining the Sports Empire Network on Saturday at 8 a.m. Central Time, talking college football.
Nice,
and just kind of going through the games of slates. And, I wasn't able to make it last week because I was in San Diego, but I actually was going to have the upset of the week was going to be Wyoming upsetting Texas Tech. And you're probably like, yeah, right, Joe. Of course you had them winning. But I really, really, really liked Wyoming's defense coming back, I think 11 or 12 starters, and they had to just get barely enough on offense, and they upset Texas Tech. A lot of upsets in college football. Duke, it'd be Clemson. But yes, I will be joining the team there at 8 Central Time and talking a bunch of college football. And I also will be joining, of course, Sweep the League as we talk NFL throughout the year.
Oh, yeah, man. You know what? You're funny on the Wyoming thing. I mean, I don't never doubt you, but you can go back on 2 shows that I did last week, and this was before college football started. I'm going to give you the 2 games that I picked, and both of them were kind of like, okay. One of them was kind of a give me, but the other one, it's going to shock you. So the first one, I was on Victor Herrera, which is via, I think, or VSH Sports Talk, VS Sports Talk, something like that.
Yeah.
We were talking, a lot of stuff there, NFL and everything, and then we talked about college football. And I told him, I said, the top 4 teams, obviously at the end, you're more likely going to be the favorites. They're going to be Georgia, Bama, Michigan, and Ohio State. I said, but there's one team that is my dark horse team, and I feel they're going to get in, and they're actually going to jump out of any SEC team. I think it's going to be Bama that gets left out. I think Georgia makes it, but they're not going to win it. But my team is Florida State.
I knew.
Yeah.
I had a feeling Rudy were going to say Florida State, and I liked what I saw last week. That team looks different, and LSU, I had high hopes for them, but they fell very flat in that game against Florida State.
They did, man. But you know what? Florida State is loaded. I mean, loaded from top to bottom, and even their defense is loaded too. So I think that that's kind of like my national championship pick right there. I like Florida State this year to really come out on top. And the other game, I actually picked on one of our buddies, Joe Garcia. I was on his show last Thursday as well. And we were shooting the shit, talking college football. And I told the guys, I was like, look, there's a game, because I actually get a lot of shit on that show, man. There's a lot of Duke guys out there, and they come after me left and right during that show.
Well,
you're one of them. You're one of them.
Just basketball. Football, though.
Well,
they look good.
I said, look, Tim Gonzalez out there was giving me shit, and I said, look, obviously I'm a Tar Heel. and you're not supposed to, respect the Duke or whatever. But I said on that show, look, I am calling it now. Duke over Clemson. I knew it was gonna. Why? Because Riley Leonard is that guy. I have a lot of respect for Riley Leonard, and not only that, Clemson is the most overrated team this year.
Did you put any money on this, Rudy, on
I
DraftKings or FanDuel?
No, I don't. We can't gamble in Texas. We're not allowed to gamble on
Ah,
DraftKings. We can only
what?
do fantasy on the DraftKings and FanDuel. So
Well,
we're not
fantasy
able.
in college is a little tricky, but yeah, that
But
sucks.
But now that I know where you live, I'm definitely cash apping you some money to put some bets in for me. But nonetheless, man, hey, we got to talk college football at another show because I think you and I talking college football would make a lot more sense. But yeah, join Coach Gio on the Sports Empire Network at 8 o'clock every Saturday talking college football. Give him grief about his Georgia Bulldogs, who will not three-peat. That is a guarantee that they're not going to three-peat. But no, man, we got to get into this quick because here I am. It's fantasy football time. All my drafts are done. 18 leagues are done. I'm exhausted. I'm
You must
completely.
have a lot of money, Rudy.
I do not. I pay throughout the year. I'm on what is it? The Affirm, or what is it, Klarna
Yeah,
account, where
yeah.
you pay so much
Pay
every
you
couple of
later.
weeks. Yeah, I'll pay you in payments type stuff. But
$10 here, $5 here.
we got two breaking fantasy stories, and these are two major. We're talking first round picks in fantasy football. We're gonna dive into that here. Before we do, hey, you want to feel special? Grab a Special Leaf tee. You can go to specialleaf.com, order your 4-pack, 6-pack. Go get a case of that. That is some awesome stuff. You want to feel special? Grab Special Leaf tea. First things first, man. You're a Ram. You're the Ram ambassador from past, from what we talked about and everything. But Cooper Kupp, that news is devastating because okay, he's got the hamstring injury. In a lot of my keeper leagues, in my dynasty leagues, I had Cooper Kupp, so I obviously kept him in keeper leagues, and obviously he was on my dynasty team. So I had a feeling week one was going to be in question. As of today, he's ruled out for week one. I was like, okay, no problem. I can lose a week without Cooper Kupp. Then the news comes out saying Sean McVay is concerned that they may have to put him on the IR. So now you're looking at the first 4 games. Then word out of Rams camp is saying you might even see, dare we say, a season-long benching of Cooper Kupp. What are the implications on that for people like me who in other leagues that didn't have him, I did draft him in a couple of leagues in the first round. What is the implications in your mind? And also, what is the implications as far as the team in reality, not fantasy, for the Rams?
Well, it's a tough blow for the Rams. I mean, week one, Rudy, on the road at Seattle. It's going to be a tough place to play. You lose him. The Rams have an interesting set of receivers there. They have a rookie named Puka they drafted out of BYU, Tutu Atwell a few years ago from Louisville, Van Jefferson. They got a bunch of receivers there. With Kupp out, Rudy, someone's going to have to step up. And it's a tough blow to Matthew Stafford, right? He loves Cooper Kupp. 2 years ago, Rudy, I mean, he was just Mr. Automatic. He was throwing 15 catches a game. It was just unbelievable. This is a tough break for the Rams, a team that in a lot of spots don't have a lot of depth. Receiver they do, but you want someone leading the pack. And without Cooper Kupp, I fear that the Rams could really, really hurt themselves. They're going to have to run the football, I think, a lot more. But for fantasy purposes, it's a tough blow. I love Tyler Higbee in this spot. He was used a lot last year. Fantasy guys, I think Higbee can have a huge year, especially if Kupp misses time. He's probably going to miss at least the first 4 weeks, it looking like. But team-wise, it's a huge blow, Rudy. I was open coming into this season. I think the Rams may struggle. I do have them winning 8 games, and that sounds like a lot because a lot of the experts are having the Rams 5 to 6 wins, but huge blow for the Rams, a team that had a rough start, and then on the road at Seattle without your best receiver, it could be tough sledding. But the Rams have to run the football. You got to get Cam Akers involved. It's just make sure now you really got to run the ball, and you really have to be very creative. Sean McVay, as good as he is, Rudy, I struggle sometimes with him because he loves to throw. Yeah. Stafford getting hit. He has a bad back. Stafford does look good. Looks like he lost some weight in the offseason. But tough blow for the Rams. Their best offensive player for fantasy purposes, Rudy, I don't really look at anyone that you could pick up. Maybe a Van Jefferson, Tutu Atwell I do like this season. Mm-hmm. But I think Tyler Higbee's probably the biggest beneficiary heading forward.
Which I drafted Tyler Higbee. This was before the Cooper Kupp news came out. And I think that puts Tyler Higbee at a whole other level now.
Yeah.
I had him at a low tier 2, very low tier 2, tier 3 tight end. I think this clearly puts him at tier 2. I mean, definitely way up on the tier 2 rankings for tight end. So Higbee's actually the best pickup out there. Let me give you an example here. Let me give you a shot in the dark here. So the Rams haven't seen a first round pick in forever. In 2024, they have a first. And I'm not saying to trade that, but there is a player out there who's very unhappy, who I think they can maybe trade for. I just don't know if they can make the numbers work cap-wise. But why don't you call Tampa Bay about Mike Evans? Instant help right away. And it will allow Kupp to come back, after 4 games if he does go on the IR. But it also gives Stafford that 1-2 on the outside. So is that something you think the Rams might even be interested in doing, knowing that they've got all their picks next year still? And, I mean, you probably could get Evans for a 5th, maybe a 4th. I don't know if that's something they would be willing to do because Evans is not happy in Tampa Bay.
Rudy, it's Les Snead, general manager of Rams. He's always open to everything. He's had a lot of trades throughout the years, and Aqib Talib, Marcus Peters, Von Miller. The list goes on. I'm sure the Rams have probably talked about Mike Evans. You have to talk about all possibilities. I wouldn't be surprised. I will say I would prefer a late round draft pick, Rudy. A first, a second. I don't even think a third. I think a 4th or a 5th I would be okay with trading Mike Evans to get him out of Tampa. Stafford, Mike Evans would definitely work. You got a big body guy, and then you can let Van Jefferson, Tutu Atwell, some of the smaller guys kind of work underneath. I just feel without Kupp, there's no big body guy, right? And Kupp is kind of interesting. Well, I use the term big body, but he is 6'2". People forget, he's a big receiver at 6'2", though he did play slot for many years before he's kind of moved into number 1. But I would love a Mike Evans situation. But there's a quarterback in USC that I really like. So I've thought to this, Rudy, if the Rams start off bad, look, there's no shame in tanking. There's really no shame in tanking, but the quarterback room for next year's draft, Rudy, is going to be a great one to see. There are a lot of prospects next season that tanking for the kid over there at USC necessarily doesn't have to happen, but the QB room for next season is huge. But for right now, Mike Evans, that's a great option there, Rudy. But I would prefer a 4th or a 5th for Mike Evans.
Yeah, I'm straight up 4th or 5th. I don't see Mike Evans going for any higher than a 4th, and even at that, I would really push the narrative and just keep it at a 5th. I wouldn't go any further than that. I'm really thinking that would be something that the Rams could do. We're talking to Gio here. He's part of the Sports Empire Network. What a part of the Sweep the League family as well. Talking Cooper Kupp and his fantasy value. So fantasy value for Cooper Kupp. What does it do to fantasy owners? Hey, you went and drafted him in the first round.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I did.
It's a tough blow, Rudy.
It's very tough, dude. So, I mean, what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out where in the hell do people go from there now? I mean, there's really what guys are out there that we could probably say, hey, you know what? You can go and grab, maybe this guy, maybe this guy's available, this and that. Because let's be real, man. The receiving core or the receiving position in fantasy this year, it's pretty loaded. You can still find some really good guys out there.
You really can, Rudy. And depending on, I play in some 10-team leagues, of course, Rudy, 15, 16, some of those higher leagues, like you're really at the bottom of the barrel trying to find some guys. But, there's some guys out there that you could hit a home run with. And of course, there's obvious choices out there. But I like Marvin Mims Jr. from Denver, right? Sean Payton trades up for him.
Mhm.
And Sean Payton, we all know how he is with receivers. If you really, depending on how big your league is, Marvin Mims Jr. is out there in our leagues, and I think he could be the number 2 guy by the end of the year, depending on what happens with Cortland Sutton. And I've had a love affair with Cortland, but it hasn't really panned out. But I do like George Pickens, though. He's probably taken Rudy, but he's the number 1 guy in Pittsburgh who I think could have a really, really big year. But depending on how deep that waiver wire pool is, I mean, Van Jefferson, Tutu Atwell, can Van step in? Elijah Moore over there in Cleveland. I do like Zay Jones from Jacksonville. He had a really good year last season.
Yeah.
But, a lot of these guys, a lot of the good guys are taken, Rudy. So look at your bench and throw a trade out there for somebody who doesn't know about fantasy. But in the waiver wire, for instance, in one of my leagues, really, Alan Lazard's out there, Rudy. I mean,
Yeah.
with Aaron Rodgers, it's not a terrible pick.
I mean, he's gonna have more. I mean, he's got to have more than just Garrett Wilson. Obviously, I mean,
exactly.
You're not looking at a guy that is going to be able to throw just to Garrett Wilson. I mean, Rodgers. And you know what? Let's be real, man. The running back situation there isn't the greatest. Yeah, you can say Dalvin Cook, but I mean, Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall. After Wilson, it's Lazard. I think McCole Hardman's there.
Exactly.
I mean,
also,
Tyler
another name, Rudy,
Conklin.
that I would love for him to have a big year because I have a good amount of shares. It's going to kind of lead into our next topic, though. Sky Moore from Kansas City.
I was big on Sky Moore.
With the other guy, and I forgot his name. He went to New England, Juju Smith-Schuster, and now with the news with Travis Kelce, Sky Moore could be a really good 4-week stretch. And who knows how if he explodes, then you've hit a home run. But for those of you out there, dig deep, really analyze your field, and also make trades. But Sky Moore could be a home run. If he's on your waiver wire, go pick him up. Please go pick him up.
Yeah, I've actually drafted him in a lot of leagues this year.
Yeah.
I mean, not only that, you're talking about Kadarius Toney is wide receiver 1 right now in Kansas City.
But he's always hurt, Rudy.
He's always hurt. You also have MVS or Marquez Valdez-Scantling. But again, I put Sky Moore way above him. The only other guy in Kansas City, which we'll talk about that game here in a little bit, but the only other guy I can see really benefiting from Toney possibly being hurt is Rashee Rice. I mean, another rookie out of SMU.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking... I mean, Eric Gray is probably going to get the started tight end for Kansas City. So he's not going to be Travis Kelce-like. So they're probably going to use a lot of 3, maybe 4 wide receiver spreads. So Rashee Rice could get some really good looks, and especially downfield for Rashee Rice. So I love that Sky Moore pick. One guy I noticed that's out there, and he's still questionable. I don't know if he's going to play week 1, but if you need a long-term receiver, I'm seeing Romeo Doubs out there a lot. And, you've got the emergence of Jordan Love. Christian Wilson is going to be the main guy in Green Bay. But outside of Christian, it's Romeo Doubs, man. I mean, you really can't trust Lucas Musgrave right now. He's a rookie. We don't know how much Jordan Love is going to actually use him. It's going to be a lot of running there with Jamal Williams and AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones. Romeo Doubs is a sneaky play for Jordan Love. He's going to be a lot more of that slot receiver, that slant, maybe 10 yards down, where Christian's going to be more of the downfield guy. I think Romeo Doubs is one guy we got to keep our eye on, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, Rudy. He's another kid. Yeah, so many good young receivers out there. So Doubs can definitely be, Watson, of course, he's obviously the choice there in Green Bay, but I like Jordan Love this year, Rudy. I like what
Yeah.
I've seen so far, and I'm looking at his demeanor in preseason and in camp. I really think, and people are kind of throwing the Packers kind of to the side there. And of course, everyone's darling, the Detroit Lions are getting all the love.
Mhm.
But the Packers, they're still there. They have that running game, and the defense should be all right. But Dobbs is definitely another pick. So many guys out there, Rudy, that Sky Moore, Mims, Dobbs. There's a lot of guys out there that you can possibly pick up on your waiver wire, or obviously make trades. But go out there, please do your homework, because Kupp, if you haven't heard, he's going to be out for a little bit.
Yeah, he's definitely out week 1. There's no word on if he'll be out on the IR which means he'll be out the first 4 weeks. But then again, like we said earlier, there's a possibility he could miss the entire season, which would screw a lot of people, including me, who has a bunch of shares in Cooper Kupp. This is Sweep the League Spotlight Edition. We're talking fantasy football. We're going to talk some NFL football here in a little bit. We're talking to Coach Gio. Follow Coach Gio on Twitter. He loves to tweet back at you. Go ahead and follow him at Coach Gio and add the extra O at the end. So it's Coach Gio. It's Gioo.
Because someone has.
Which we need to find that guy and really kick his ass or something.
Well, you know what? I searched him, Rudy, and apparently the guy actually tweets. So it's gonna be very hard. He's probably gonna charge me some money to get that. So
it's fine. It's still Coach Gio. Just add that second O at the end. You can find me on Twitter. It's at Sweep the League. We got another injury, brother, and this one's not as bad. It's not as bad. So, but it is significant. Travis Kelce for Kansas City. Now, before we get into the Kansas City Detroit game and actually talk about that game, their opening night for the NFL, Travis Kelce, that is a huge injury, because you're talking tight end 1, the tight end, period. Now, of course, he hasn't been ruled out for game 1. We get in the fantasy world the ever so kicking the balls, the questionable. He's questionable. It's not doubtful, where if they say doubtful, he ain't playing. It's questionable. So he can still play depending if the swelling goes down, is what they're saying. So what are we looking at tight end, man? Like, what replacements can you have? If it's a 1-week replacement, what are some tight ends out there in some of the leagues that you're seeing that you could possibly go and get? I've seen a couple out there where I'm like, how is this guy still there? And I'm picking him up when I have Travis Kelce. But what are some names out there you're seeing on the waiver wire to help these guys get through the 1 week at least Travis Kelce injury?
Rudy, how about your boy Austin Hooper over there in Oakland?
That's
actually Las Vegas, should I say? Just kidding. I was kind of poking at you since he used to be a Falcon. I do like Gerald Everett. From the Chargers. He had a decent year. For tight ends, Rudy, it's kind of weird because a lot of guys, get 5-6 points. But Gerald Everett, how about Logan Thomas? He's
underrated.
He's another guy out there that I think possible can have a good game against the Arizona Cardinals. And we know what's happening up there in Arizona, Rudy. They seem to be tanking.
Tank for Caleb.
Noah Fant against the Rams. The Rams defense, it's going to be very different this year. Could definitely see Noah Fant in the red zone getting a touchdown. Mike Gesicki, the Patriots are just a weird team in some spots, right? Like their running backs got a bunch of backs. They got a bunch of tight ends. Like, isn't Jonnu Smith still there? They got Hunter Henry. And then now you have Mike Gesicki there, another spot. There are a few names in the waiver wire. Those are probably some of the top guys that I'm seeing, available. There's also the kid from the Saints, Taysom Hill, but I don't know.
Yeah, I went and got Juwan Johnson from the Saints. I think he's going to be the main clear winner on the tight end position. You're right. There's a lot out there, actually. And one name that's still out there, and I don't know why he's still out there. And I would have drafted him had I, not got another tight ends, that were there still when I was drafting. Greg Dulcich out of Denver. That kid can play, and he's going to get you your 30, maybe 35, 40 yards and possibly a touchdown. but he's a
Well,
very athletic tight end.
he is, Rudy. And remember, their head coach. Their coach has had some good tight ends, most notable Jimmy Graham, right? Jimmy
Yeah.
Graham played for the Saints for a while. And, listen, Denver last season, Rudy, we know the mess that was there. The
Hmm.
offense, the defense, and Wilson was absolutely terrible. But you bring an actual offensive mind into play. He's a kid that I could see, along with Mims, obviously getting a good push. So I do see him available. And obviously for FanDuel DraftKings, he could be a good viable play throughout the year. So definitely a kid that is, and him and also was it Musgrave from Green Bay?
Yeah.
He's another kid that I really, really like to see what he does this season as well.
Yeah, I love Dulcich. He's out there, man, and that's one guy I would definitely go get, especially if we need to replace Kelsey for a couple of weeks, or just at least 1 week. I think he's going to be really good. They're going against Las Vegas. I mean, not the greatest defense out there. I find that he'll be able to find some creases to get into and get some catches for you. This is fantasy football talk here on Sweep League Spotlight with Coach Gio. Follow him on Twitter. It is at Coach Gio. Add that extra O at the end. Follow me on Twitter at Sweep the League. We were talking tight end for a position for Travis Kelce replacements. We talked about Cooper Kupp a little earlier, looking for some replacements for him. Oh man, I'm just hoping I survive, man. I just want to survive. I just want these guys to come back pretty quick here because I'm looking at the rest of my roster. I'm like, shit, I don't want to. I have to go drop a player just to pick up another tight end for Travis Kelce, and I'm like, the one guy I'm looking at is Geno Smith. I really don't want to drop him, but I think I'm gonna have to drop him in that one league that I've got. So I don't want to drop anybody else. So I'm gonna probably have to end up dropping Geno on that league. But nonetheless, man, we're gonna talk a little bit of NFL. NFL starts and we're ready. Week 1 starts with a bang. Kansas City and Detroit. So before we get into our pick'ems, man, let's go over this Detroit Kansas City game. I do see this being a possible shootout. It's in Kansas City. It's in Arrowhead. I mean, it is the Super Bowl champs minus Travis Kelce. Possibly. As of right now, he's questionable, so we don't know yet. But Detroit comes in with a lot of firepower. You added Jamar Gibbs. You got rid of DeAndre Swift, kind of like a trade for a trade. You got, Jamar Gibbs in there. Jared Goff. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, Sam Laporta, the rookie there, he's going to take over for TJ Hawkinson. Detroit's defense, if you compare it to Kansas City, Detroit's defense is probably leaps and bounds, especially with Chris Jones not in Kansas City right now. Is this have the makings of an upset?
It sure does, Rudy. And shout out to Brad Holmes, Lions general manager, used to be with the Rams, and now he has done a remarkable job building this Lions team. They did get to a rocky start, Rudy, but they got on a hot streak and almost made the playoffs last year. Definitely in the mood for a upset. Now, that'd be a huge upset, but the Lions coming in hot, the offseason they've had, Rudy, and you went through the list of players. I mean, St. Brown, Jared Goff having a very, very good year last season, underrated. He has had a great career, got a lot of, bad stuff about with the Rams, but hey, in Detroit, he's played very well in his second year. The Lions, to me, this is the Super Bowl champs. The Lions can come out gangbusters and win this game. I would not be surprised. What's the line on this game, Rudy? I didn't get a chance.
As of right now, I saw it was Kansas City minus 4.5.
Ugh.
That's a tough one. It's a tough one.
It's a tough one because, listen, you got Pat Mahomes. And whenever you have that quarterback there, he can – but you know what? I'm going to go on a limb, Rudy. I'm going to say the Lions win. I see the Lions go into Arrowhead and beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
So we're going to pick this one now. So you're taking the Lions. I'm actually taking the Lions in this game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I want to take the Lions. I mean, the defense for the Lions, we can't lie, man. This defense is
it should be much improved from last season. They had a lot of young guys on that team, especially on defense. another year under their belt. I like, and also Chris Jones, right? Not playing for Kansas City. The
No, he
pass
still
rush.
can. He still can come in tomorrow. That's from what I'm understanding. He can still come in, but knowing the
And
game's tomorrow and he hasn't been signed or
Rudy,
sent there.
I mean, also, conditioning, game shape. I just
Exactly.
don't see that happening. But can never count out Pat Mahomes there. But give me
Yeah.
the Lions tomorrow to make a big statement, a team that is trying to make their first playoff appearance in a while and win their first playoff. I think their last playoff win was against the Dallas Cowboys, if I'm not mistaken. I believe
Were you even born?
I was born. I think I was like 3 years old, Rudy. But I believe their last win was against the Cowboys. So listen, it's time, Lions fans. The Mariners got their first playoff win in like 20-something years. It's time for you to get a win.
Yeah, I think this is the year of the Lions. I've actually taken them as my super dark horse NFC representative in the Super Bowl.
So you don't
I,
have the Rams, Rudy?
I did until Cooper Kupp got injured, and I don't have the Rams at all anymore. Unless they make a trade. I mean, unless they do what we said and go get Mike Evans, I can definitely see then the Rams would definitely be up there, but their defense is even shot even more, dude. That
Yeah. No,
we
I
can't
know.
really
It's a team that is young in a lot of spots. Depth may be an issue, but I'm not having too much high expectations here for the Rams. I'm just going to enjoy the ride. I'm going to enjoy my Mariners if they don't choke, and also my Georgia Bulldogs as well. So,
well, at least one of them would choke. I'm gonna say it ends with dogs. So we'll see that, man. But I'm thinking, as far as the Rams go, a quick question before we start picking our games here. Quick question on the Rams. If they go back into lottery Valhalla, basically in the NFL, not making the playoffs, are they done with Sean McVay?
I don't think so. I think Sean's gotten you to 2 Super Bowls in his 6 years, 7 year
Yeah.
span. And look, he knows what he's getting himself into. This season can go either left or it can go really right. And I don't think they're done. Sean might be done, right? I don't think
Mhm.
the Rams would push him out. But Sean McVay, if he has a chance to get Caleb or any of those top quarterbacks coming into the draft next season, I definitely see him staying. I will say it already, Aaron Donald, I get a feeling he's not a guy that's going to stick around. He's not going to stick around until he's 34 and his knees are busted. Aaron wants to do a lot of things outside of football, and I will not be surprised if Aaron Donald retires after this season.
I wouldn't be saying we're going to go on two different things on that. I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Donald is dealt sometime this season.
So that's another thing. I've talked to a good friend of mine who said the same thing.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised if the Rams say, "Hey, Aaron, we're going to throw you a bone." There's been talks about Aaron maybe joining, his old, or not his old team, but he played his college football at Pittsburgh. Could he end up with the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team that's on the rise there with their young quarterback and receiving duel as well?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Donald is on the move. I seriously think that might happen, man. I think he's still got another like 2 or 3 years left before.
He definitely has probably about 3 or 4 years, Rudy. He's in very good shape. He did get hurt last season, which was like the first year. He did have that rib issue against the Packers in the playoffs a few years ago, but for the most part, Rudy, he's been fairly healthy in his career. I could definitely see him playing 3 or 4 more years. But if the Rams, they tend to trade players to teams that they would prefer. So I could definitely see Aaron possibly being dealt if this season just goes, where the Rams are, having memes created because they're so bad.
Man, imagine if one certain owner gives LA or the Rams a call and like, what do you want for Aaron Donald? Well, Mr. Jones,
Get the fuck out of here, man.
I'm basically
How about
saying,
them Cowboys, Jerry?
Yeah, that would make a statement. Jerry's got to make a statement somehow. But no, I think more than anything, Aaron probably goes back to Pittsburgh. That was my first destination, college ball there. I think he would go back to Pittsburgh if he goes anywhere. So talking to Coach Gio, and you know what, man, we picked up the first game, the Thursday night game, game one, not Rams, Lions versus Chiefs. We're both taking the Chiefs. Now, I want to know, do you need the spreads on these games, or what do you?
No,
No, you
No,
just want to pick him straight up?
I'm picking him straight up, Rudy.
Straight up. All right. So we're going to go straight up picks here. We're going to start off with the wondrous Dirty Birds themselves, the Atlanta Falcons, hosting Carolina Panthers rookie Bryce Young, and the Carolina Panthers are going on with a second-year rookie, I guess, Desmond Ridder. Gio, Falcons or Panthers? Who are you taking?
Give me the Atlanta Falcons. I think the Falcons are a better football team, and I just really see this game. I don't like both teams this year, but just give me Atlanta. I think they're just a better team. The running game, I'm very excited to see Robinson back there, and an offensive line though. I joke around about Atlanta, but their offensive line's pretty good, Rudy.
One of the best.
One of the best in the league. Give me the Falcons. They're a better team.
Look at you picking the Falcons. You know what? I'm going to do the same. I'm going to pick the Falcons. Why? Because it's the Carolina fucking Panthers. Give me a break. Bryce Young to me, he's not that guy. There's no quarterback in this draft class that is that guy. It's going to show with Bryce Young. I think the Falcons are going to basically not obliterate, but I'm going to take the Falcons at least by 10, maybe 14 in this game. Don't get me wrong. If you're looking at fantasy-wise, Panthers on that side, I think Miles Sanders is going to actually have a decent game. He's going to be the only Panther worth the shit this weekend. So if you got Miles Sanders, you need to start somewhere. You need to put him in flex. You need an extra flex position. Maybe even daily fantasy, I would probably go with Miles Sanders because he's going to cost you less. So I think he has a pretty good fantasy game. But give me the Falcons to win week 1. Let's go to the wire, Gio. Let's go to Baltimore, where the Ravens are hosting another rookie quarterback in CJ Stroud and the Texans. Which way are you going for Ravens-Texans?
Give me the Ravens. This team is going to blow this team out. I don't love the Texans here. They do have a defensive-minded coach coming in, but the linebackers, Patrick Queen, Roquan Smith, it's just going to be too much for the young rookie.
Yeah, I'm taking the Ravens. It should be a no-brainer. Lamar Jackson should be hitting Mark Andrews, should be hitting everybody. I'm expecting Zay Flowers to have a pretty good game. I'm even expecting Odell to get into the end zone. J.K. Dobbins is even going to have a pretty good game. Houston's defense is no joke. It is no joke. But it's a very tough matchup week 1 against the Ravens. Give me the Ravens. I'm expecting the Texans on that side of the ball. Dameon Pierce is another guy that could have a pretty good fantasy day. I don't expect the Texans to have a really good fantasy day at all, especially their quarterback, CJ Stroud. Even though I think he's the better QB out of Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud's probably the better one out of both of them. Battle of Ohio, dude. The Bengals are traveling to Cleveland. Bengals and Browns. Where are we going with this one?
Give me the Browns with the upset. I like Deshaun Watson in his first week. He's finally not going to be at a spa getting you know what. So he's going to actually be playing a football. Exactly. And Burrow's probably going to play this game, but I really just like the Browns. They're going to run the football, keep the game close. Give me the Browns.
Taking the Browns at home. I love that. Not so fast, my friend, as our buddy Lee Corso tends to say on Saturday mornings, Gio. Not so fast. Now, I'm sure all Brown fans want a happy ending, but it won't happen in week 1. Bengals are going to go into Cleveland. Deshaun's going to have a really good game. I think you're going to see a really good game by Amari Cooper. Nick Chubb's going to get his points. He's going to give every fan what he gives them every single week, and that is full-blown Nick Chubb. But the Bengals, man, you've got Burrow, you've got Chase, you've got Higgins, you've got Tyler Boyd, you got Joe Mixon. You just have too much firepower for the Browns. I think the Bengals go in there, 7-point win for the Bengals. Give me Cincy for the win in the Battle of Ohio, Gio. Let's go to Indianapolis, where you have kind of relocated. Indiana's now your state. You're going state to state. You're like the new version of Lois and Clark here. You're visiting every single state in America.
I'm basically a nomad, Rudy.
You are a nomad. You are the nomad of Sweep the League. So Your newly adapted Colts, since you're in the state of Indiana, are hosting the Jaguars. Where are you going with Jaguars Colts?
I'm going with those Cats in Jacksonville. Listen, I think Calvin Ridley is going to have a big year. The Colts running back situation right now with Jonathan Taylor is going to be a bit of a mess. Listen, Richardson will make plays, Rudy, but at the end of the day, Doug Peterson's going to have that offense flowing. I like the defense also in Jacksonville. Give me the Jags.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson, when he was named starter, in fact, when he was drafted, I felt bad for the entire state of Indiana because he's been a bust. Even Florida didn't show me shit. So I don't really ever buy into
Rudy, I think he's going to have a good career. You watch.
If he has a good career, it's a decent career, Joe. It's not going to be a great career. It's not going to be even a good career. I have so many doubts about Anthony Richardson. And you know what? What makes it even worse is that the media tries to push this guy, and you saw how it worked for one guy in LeBron James. It just tends to people hate him because media pushes and pushes. They're doing the same thing to this kid. He can make a deep ball throw, yeah, but every fucking quarterback can, Gio. Everybody can. His accuracy is just terrible. I don't see him being the Colts quarterback. In fact, I see the Colts being so bad that they draft another quarterback next year in the elite draft class next year, the quarterback coming out in 2020.
Wow, okay.
So, nonetheless, if you don't understand or you don't see why I'm taking Jacksonville, then you definitely need to hit me up on the Twitter and we can talk about it because I am definitely not on the Colts bandwagon. Jonathan Taylor is their only guy. Michael Pittman, I think he probably is your only fantasy relevant guy there in this game. But give me the Jaguars in this game. We go to the north, a place you haven't lived yet, but I'm thinking you might live there, and that is Minnesota. You're going to join the likes of Kirby Puckett, rest in peace, and Prince, rest in peace. Maybe move to Minnesota. We have Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield's team now. Baker going to Minnesota, leading the new Bucks in there. Who are you taking between Bucks and Vikings?
I got the Minnesota Vikings. Listen, I don't trust Baker Mayfield. I think he'll have a better season than last, but that won't be enough. I think Kirk Cousins will sling it around. Tampa is going to bring the heat. They're going to blitz. They're going to do what Todd Bowles does. But at the end of the day, I think Justin Jefferson will be too much for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. This is a game where I think Kirk Cousins is a viable, probably quarterback one this week. Alexander Madison's going to have a decent game. I think Rachaad White on that other side of the ball is going to be really good this game. He's one of the key starts for me this week. I have him in a few leagues. I'm going to start Rachaad White for the Buccaneers, but nonetheless, I'm taking the Vikings. It's just too much firepower when you've got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, his brand new contract. He's going to play hard for that brand new contract now. Kirk Cousins, you know what? I saw quarterbacks on Netflix, made me have a bigger heart for Kirk Cousins, but I'm not going to have that same heart for Kirk. He's going to screw up one or two times throughout the season. How'd you like that? I'm taking the Vikings this week. Titans are going into New Orleans. This was a very tough game for me. Very tough game for me. But where are you going, Titans at New Orleans?
Listen, give me the Saints. I don't think the Titans are going to score enough points. Is Ryan Tannehill the starter, Rudy?
Yeah, he's starter right now.
Well, that's all you need to know. They've drafted 2 quarterbacks the past 2 years, and they can't even win the job. I don't trust Ryan Tannehill. Give me the Saints. Derek Carr is going to be throwing to Chris Olave. Kamara is suspended, but I think they'll have enough. On the Saints side, their front seven it's still good enough. Give me the Saints like 26-13. I don't know.
26-13. You're right. Olave is there. Derek Carr is there. Michael Thomas. Let's not forget the forgotten one. Michael Thomas.
And I forgot about him, Mr. Slant guy. So
exactly. And I think Michael Thomas is going to be that guy this weekend. I think Michael Thomas is going to get in the end zone. He's going to get a touchdown. He may not get his usual 20 receptions a game like we're used to from back in the day, but he's going to get a few receptions. I think he's getting in the end zone. I think we're going to see Jamal Williams there. He's going to have a really good game for the Saints with the Kamara being out. Kendre Miller was one of the guys I thought would step in this weekend, but he's injured. It's going to be the Jamal Williams show. I have the Saints winning this game. On the other side of the ball, the Titans, Derrick Henry is the only guy you can really trust in this team, but you can't expect Derrick Henry to win this game for the Titans. Give me the Saints this weekend. One of the games of the week, in my opinion. You have San Francisco going all the way across the land, kind of being like Geo and just traveling all over the country. Going into Steel City against Pittsburgh. Kenny Pickett in the group. Where are you seeing the Niners-Steelers game going?
I hate the 49ers, so give me the Pittsburgh Steelers. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I am going with Pittsburgh this week with the upset win over the 49ers. I really love that defense. It's a physical group. I think Kenny Pickett will do enough to get the job done, and expect a heavy dose of the run. This is going to be a physical game, Rudy. It's going to be a very physical. Both teams want to run the ball, but give me Kenny Pickett a little bit of the edge over Purdy this week.
I was actually going with the Niners, man. I was really, all week I've been thinking, I'm going with San Francisco. I'm going San Francisco. I'm going San Francisco. But as of maybe an hour ago, I thought, I'm going Pittsburgh.
Oh, my.
I know, I'm going Pittsburgh. Defense to defense, the Niners get the edge on that. So I think we're going to see a lot more field goals in this game than normal. I think it's going to be like an 18, 13 type game. You may see a touchdown in there, maybe. So we're looking like 24 or something in there. I just think on the offensive side of the ball, it's kind of, I'm thinking about it now. I want to go back to San Francisco for the win. Like I'm really torn on this game.
All right, Rudy, just make your pick now. Come on.
I'm taking the Steelers. I went back and forth. I'm going to take the Steelers. Kenny Pickett has a pretty good game, I think, for the Steelers. But where I think its difference is, I think this is going to be a kicker's duel here. So give me the Steelers for the win. Next, we've got Cardinals and the Commanders. Are we ever going to take the Cardinals this year?
Nope, and I'm not doing it this week, Rudy. Give me the Commanders. Give me a new offense. It's going to be interesting to see what Eric Bieniemy does there. Rudy, there was a report that a lot of the players were saying that Eric was just a little too much, as Ron Rivera said in training camp. But I want to see what this offense looks like with Jonathan Gannon. With Eric Bieniemy coming there at the realm. And on the Arizona side, listen, I don't know who their quarterback is, and I don't care. Give me the Commanders. I expect a big day from Mr. McLaurin and the other receiver there as well. So give me the Commanders.
It's going to be a Commanders weekend. They're going to command this game. They're going to command both sides of the ball. Our Dobbs isn't going to do anything. James Conner, I feel bad for you. I'm actually starting James Conner in a lot of my leagues. He's going to be the only viable option when it comes.
Feast or famine.
Yeah, he's going to be the only option in Arizona. So that's why I'm starting James Conner in a lot of leagues. Washington's defense is not the greatest. So I think they're going to be able to run the ball on the Commanders. You might see them put up a few points, but one guy to look out for this weekend is Josh Dotson. He's going to have a really good weekend, I feel. McLaurin's going to get his, and Logan Thomas is going to be effective, but I think Dotson's going to be that guy this weekend for Sam Howell. Give me the Commanders. Gio, we're going to Chicago. We may have a difference here. Packers at the Bears. Where are you going?
Just because I used to live in Chicago does not mean I'm going to be picking the Bears this week. Give me the Packers to extend that streak against those Bears. I do think Justin Fields and that offense will be improved this season, but I think Green Bay's offense is going to be much better than what people think. The two receivers outside, and they're going to have a heavy dose of Dylan and the other running backs team, which I'm having a bit of a brain fart, but I think he's going to have exactly. Aaron Jones is going to have a great day. Give me the Packers to beat the Bears.
So you're taking the Packers. Now, I was taking the Packers as well, but I'm going to take the Bears this weekend. I fully believe in Jordan Love. I fully believe in that offense. I just think Justin Fields is going to have a field day on Green Bay this week.
A field day running for his life, or actually in a good way?
In a good way. I think he's going to be able to run on the Packers defense. Packers defense is a good defense, but I think he's going to be able to get away with it. You're not going to see a lot of downfield throws from him. I think Cole Kmet's going to have a really good game. You're talking maybe even DJ Moore being effective. I think it's just a Justin Fields type of day. I think they get it done. They're in Chicago. It's a rivalry game for week one. Jordan Love's going to go in there and do his thing, but it's just not going to be enough. Give me the Bears, as you and I disagree on this game. Raiders at the Broncos. Another kind of tough game here. Where are you going with Raiders and Broncos?
This actually I think is going to be a very fun, high scoring game. The Raiders, I don't think their defense is going to be very good once again. A new offense for Sean Payton coming in with the Denver Broncos. I'm going to give the edge though to the Denver Broncos. I just trust Sean Payton more than I do Mr. Josh McDaniels, and I think it's probably going to be like 35-34 Broncos.
You're going Broncos, and you're right. I'm only going Broncos because I don't like Josh McDaniels. The guy can't do shit anywhere he goes. He fucked up the Broncos organization for a while. I mean, obviously, he just can't coach, man. I don't know. Wherever he goes, he can't coach. And you can't say it's for a lack of talent. He's had talent. He just can't do it. And now you have Jimmy G there. You have Devontae Adams. He still couldn't get shit done last year with Derek Carr and Devontae Adams. You had Josh Jacobs, too. I mean, Darren Waller was there last year. It's not the players, and it's weird because you go with the Cowboys. To me, it's the coaching, it's the front office, it's not the players. In Vegas, it's the coaching, like straight up. I mean, the players are not the problem; they're all there.
Yeah, Rudy, and
Crosby on defense too.
And I also heard a remark from Chandler Jones saying he doesn't want to be there anymore, or some sort of weird cryptic message he sent
because of the coaches.
It's a weird vibes coming out of there, and if they have another bad year, I have a good feeling that Josh McDaniels will not be back.
Yeah, if they have a very bad year, you definitely would see not. Josh McDaniels better be gone. I'm taking the Broncos. This should be an easy win for them. Low key, I like Greg Dulcich in this game, like I mentioned earlier. So we go to Miami.
I do as well, Rudy. The Raiders secondary is not very good, and I'm putting that real lightly.
Yeah, I love Dulcich in this game. Dolphins going to the Chargers. Another game of the week here, man. Where are you going, Dolphins and Chargers?
Go Chargers, go. Give me the Chargers. I think this is another high-scoring game with Tyreek Hill, Tua, and then Austin Eckler on the other side. Keenan Allen win. There's a ton of offense in this game, but I'm going to give the edge to the Chargers. They're going to be at home this week in the Rams Stadium, not their own stadium. But anyway, give me the Chargers.
You're taking the Chargers, and I love the Chargers this week. I do not like Justin Herbert this week. I think Miami's secondary and defense is legit, so I'm not too keen on Justin Herbert. But what I do like about the Chargers is Austin Eckler. I think that'll be the Austin Eckler show. Herbert may ball out for all I know. He may or may not. But I just don't like him this week. I think there's other viable options at quarterback. You know what, man? Just because I'm taking the Dolphins this week.
The Cuba sandwiches. Good luck, Rudy.
I hope Tua can at least stay upright this week. I don't feel comfortable.
The offensive line, Rudy, it's a bit shaky.
The offensive line is very terrible. But I mean, you're looking at Tyreek Hill. You're looking at the receiving core there in Miami. I think I just got to take the Dolphins just to be different this week to get us a couple of more differences in there. This is kind of one of the closer games. I'm probably going to end up losing my ass on this one. I'm staying away from this game when it comes to betting, but just give me the Dolphins on this one. Eagles at the Patriots. I'm pretty sure I know where we're going with this one.
Rudy, give me the upset this week. I'm taking the New England Patriots.
Wow.
They finally have a real offensive coordinator. They don't have Patricia running an offense. They don't have a special teams coordinator running an offense. They finally have a real offensive coordinator, and I think Mac Jones is finally going to be able to run an offense. Bill Belichick giving him months to prepare for this first game. Give me the Patriots in a close one.
Taking the Patriots at home. I'm actually taking the Eagles. I mean,
of course you would, Rudy.
Hey, I'm supporting Georgia. They drafted the entire Georgia Bulldogs defense. I mean, you should be happy. Look, Mac Jones is going to have a great season, man. I love Mac Jones this year, too. He's a low-key, definitely good DFS play from week to week. And you're right. They have an offense.
And Rudy, remember, it's a new offense, Rudy. So the Eagles, I don't know what to expect.
The Eagles do not know what to expect, but I think when you've got guys like Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith just running around there making tackles, I mean their defense is one of the best in the league for a reason. Then you go to the offensive side of the ball. I mean, yeah, you lose Miles Sanders, but you kind of get a younger Miles Sanders and DeAndre Swift. You also have Rashad Penny there. You got AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Jalen Hurts, who's a dual threat quarterback. It's just a little too much for Bill. I think the Patriots will be good for this season, but give me the Eagles this week in the not so much of an upset. Rams at the Seahawks. I hate that I'm making a pick against your Rams this week, but go ahead. Where are you going, Rams and Seahawks?
I don't love this game. The Seahawks, a team that went to the playoffs last year, good young team. Give me the Rams to go on the road at Lumen Field to upset the Seahawks. Look, I was there last year for a game in Seattle. It's loud, but I think the Rams would do just enough to win this game. But I'm actually a little scared of this game, to be honest with you.
Someone is drinking the gold and blue Kool-Aid, because definitely the Rams are not going into Seattle and winning this game. There's no Todd Gurley. There's no Kurt Warner and Isaac Bruce. There's none of that shit, man. I'm taking the Seahawks all day and every day if they play the Rams this year. Look, man, you're talking about Geno Smith. He still has DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett is going to be locked in this week, especially if Jackson Smith and Jigba doesn't go. I love the Seahawks this game. Aaron Donald's going to be a beast in this game, I feel, but
watch out for the big name this week, Tutu Atwell.
Yes, I do.
He's going to beat up on the Seattle secondary this week.
I'm going to throw a name out there for all of you, like super deep fantasy dynasty guys. If you're looking for a dynasty guy, and Gio, you're gonna actually love me. That Puka Nacua?
Yes,
I feel he's gonna have an impact this game. I really do. So look out for him. I think he gets in the game. He's gonna get a couple of catches in. He's gonna kind of make a name for himself. So look out for Puka Nacua for the Rams. But again, it's gonna be all Seattle. Kenneth Walker should get in the end zone. We should get a little bit of garbage time for Zach Charbonnet. I think he actually gets into the end zone this week too in garbage time. All right, man. The game of the year, the game of the week, the game across the country always involves that one bar, and that is the Dallas Cowboys going into New York. The Giants and the Cowboys. Gio, which way are you going?
How about them Wyoming Cowboys? Just kidding. How about them Dallas Cowboys? I got the Cowboys this week. I just think they're a better football team. Your boy Daniel Jones got a big contract. We're going to see what he looks like. Rudy, Saquon Barkley. I do like the matchup for the Giants can run, but I just think the Cowboys offense will be just a little too much, along with their defense being much better than Giants.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Cowboys reluctantly this week. I actually love the Giants this week, but for whatever reason, I'm just thinking the Cowboys are gonna be a little too much. They're gonna get off to that 1-0 start this year, and then you're gonna see them collapse towards the end of the year, kind of like they always do. But I think this is the way I'm playing it. The Giants lose this game, but when they go into Dallas, I think Dallas will be struggling, and I think that's when the Giants get the win. So you got to go 1-1 on the season. Wouldn't surprise me if the Giants pull up a win this week. This is kind of one of those toss-up games for me. I'm taking the Cowboys based off of talent alone, and because out of the two teams, they have the better defense, which doesn't really mean shit, when it comes to the Cowboys on the defense or offensive side. I think Daniel Jones, Jalen Hyatt is the guy that I'm looking at for the Giants this week. I think he can be a sneaky play getting behind that Cowboy secondary, which has always been suspect. Even though they added Stephon Gilmore, Trayvon Diggs, I don't care if Trayvon Diggs led the league in the interceptions or whatever. He was the Mr. Hype guy, but you know what? Trayvon also stands, the T in Trayvon, the T doesn't necessarily stand for Trayvon. It also means toast, because he was toasted a lot of times.
He sure was.
I'm looking for Jalen Hyatt to have, a deep presence for the Giants. But again, give me the Cowboys based off of their defense this week. Last but not least, we go into Monday Night Football. You have the Bills going to New York, man, against the new look without an offensive line, because they didn't spend shit on the offensive line. Football Jets, Jets, Jets. Aaron Rodgers making his NFL debut in New York and not a Packers jersey. Which way are you going with this one?
Well, Rudy, you know I'm from New York. I'm going with the New York Jets, even though they don't technically play in New York. I think Aaron Rodgers, the new look offense of that team, their defense is going to be their staple. The Jets offensive line just needs to hold up. Give me the Jets this week. A lot of energy. I feel like I'm going to feel the energy in New York with the Jets. Aaron Rodgers, I see a 3-touchdown performance. I think Jets win.
Taking the Jets, man. I love Jets are my upset of the week.
Oh, Rudy, you still know my picks, man. You're going to be jinxing me. I know it.
But I'm not taking them. I'm taking the Bills this week. Josh Allen is going to have to do a lot. And he's going to do a lot with his feet. He's not going to do a lot with his arm. I think Stephon Diggs gets in the end zone. I think Gabe Davis gets a touchdown. His big target is going to have to be Dalton Kincaid this weekend. I think that's the guy that's going to have to be a difference maker for the Buffalo Bills. Defensive-wise, you got two defenses that they're both the lead in my opinion. They're both going to give each quarterback trouble. I think Rodgers has a better game than Allen, but I think the Bills come out on top. So give me the Bills for the win over the Jets. So those are all of our picks, man. We've got 6 different ones. So we're going to see what happens after week 1. We gave you some fantasy advice. We talked about Cooper Kupp. We talked about Travis Kelce. We gave you some picks for this week. We also give you a little bit of fantasy advice on those picks. So if you want to make your picks, hit me up on Twitter. It's at Sweep the League. Hit up Gio at Coach Gio on Twitter. And that's 2 O's at the end. So it's Coach Gioo. And it's at Coach Gio. So hopefully you can give us your picks, man. Let us know what you think, what your picks are. Do you have any upsets out there? Let us know on Twitter. But for Coach Gio, this has been a Sweep the League Spotlight. Go get that Special Leaf tee, specialleaf.com. But again, for Coach Gio, it's Rudy Campos Jr. Until we sweep the league again on another Spotlight, we'll see you guys soon.